Welcome to Coaching in Session,
where limits end and growth begins.
Hosted by Michael Rearden.
This is your space to challenge the ordinary,
Unlock your potential,
and step boldly into your next chapter.
your mindset journey continues.
I'm great. It's great to be here. Absolutely. So I will tell you, like I tell people after I speak or meet them on the street, I show people and coach them into adding 10 years to their life minimum. And that obviously gets attention because all of us not only want to live longer, but we want to live quality. We want to add years to our life, but more importantly, life to our years. You hit it right on the head in your opening monologue. People suffer because the choices they make in their 30s and 40s really start to show up in their 50s and certainly their 60s. Now, that's a broad statement. I would drill down into more of a percentage that, you may have 5 to 10% of society that has enough knowledge where they can sort of travel through their lifespan and, sort of hedge off some of the pitfalls of aging. But most people, by the time they hit 45 years old, that's when I call it decay. That's when things start to show up. You're not as sharp. Your body's starting to change a little bit. And it's a big problem. And I sympathize with people because mostly everybody wants to be more fit. They want to have more energy. They want to look better, right? So the problem is it's such a knowledge-driven skill. And my book, The Goat Within, I go into the reasons why these things start to happen. And it's a real fascinating topic because society as a whole has a desire to be healthy and strong, but they end up becoming sick and weak, especially as they age. And you just can't be at the top of your game when that starts to happen. And of course, some of the choices in the selection that happens through the typical doctor industry, the medical industry, pharmaceuticals, and all these different prescriptions. And man, once you get on that train, I cover it extensively in the first part of my book. That is a road you do not want to go down, and you don't have to if you have the right knowledge. So you hit it right on the head. It's a big concern for people. It's a low-level stress as the years go by and things get worse and worse incrementally. And then all of a sudden, boom, it really hits somebody maybe in their mid-50s or 60 years old. Something a little bit tragic happens. And I tell people it is the 10 or 20 or 30 years before that really starts to trigger that decay. So I love my job because not only do I, meet a cross-section of people, men and women, different countries. I do a lot of stuff online now, training and writing what I call ecosystems for people. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we continue our discussion. I'm literally changing people's trajectory of their life. And it gets me up in the morning. I love it. And the sample size I have now, hundreds of people I've worked with, people that, they have families, they have a spouse, and then they have to be good in that role, and then they have a high pressure job. They've got to go perform for their boss or their company. So I will tell you, Michael, the roots of all that success and that energy, The roots of it is fitness and health and wellness. I don't care what you do, it always comes back to that. If you just think the last time you had a head cold or you were sick, you just literally cannot perform at the level you normally can perform at, right? That's the easiest example I can give. So incrementally, when we're not doing the right things, we don't really see it right away, but we start to feel it. I'm not as productive. I have less of an urge to go that extra mile, and things start to drain a little bit. So I've got some clients that are C-suite executive type men and women that are in their early 70s. They've been with me for about 8 years. They literally look like they're 50 years old. They are in unbelievable shape. And that comes from knowledge and systems that I build for them. And we'll get into that a little bit, but it's really fascinating stuff.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We're definitely going to get into that because I think this could be something the audience is going to love to hear. And I just think of the aspect of why people choose to live a sick and weak life versus a healthy and strong life. And if we just have to get down to the basics, it's just because it's easier to not do things. It's easier not to go to the gym. It's easier not to focus on your diet and eat healthy, because when I go to Costco or Sam's or HEB or wherever your local grocery store is, they have a nice bakery there, maybe, and maybe you are like a sweet tooth person. Maybe you're not really a sweet tooth person, but you like something like pretzels. And so you get all of this junk and it makes you happy, and then it slows you down. And what happens is that you pack on the bad stuff for so many years, because one cheeseburger is not going to ruin your life. If you think about it, people, like one piece of pizza is not going to ruin your life. It's you doing it again and again and again and again. And before you know it, 5-10 years have gone down the road of you eating hamburgers and pizza and no broccoli or something like that. It's just an example. And where you haven't been focusing on your health. And so when you go to the doctor say, hey, you got all of these things wrong with you, or go to a coach like Timothy, he's like, hey, like you need to start to look at these aspects as well. Most people are just absent in their health. And there's just a couple of reasons. Number one, they never were taught it. And number two, they never realized that they needed to be paying attention to that because they're young. Think about it. When you're young, 18, 19, 20, you can eat all the bad food, right? Your body can literally fight against all the bad food that is consuming. Today is kind of changing with genetics and DNA, but typically we can fight off the bad food for years. And then before you know it, when your body anatomy changes, you don't change. And before you know it, you're 32, 35, and you have all of these ailments. You have to ask yourself, like, man, if I'm only 32 or I'm only 35 and I'm supposed to retire at 30 or, at 65, and I'm supposed to live until I'm 85, I have so much more life to suffer. And so it's like, yeah, are you going to wait until you're 35 and everything starts to go wrong? Or are you going to wait to 55 when everything starts to go wrong? When are you going to start to make things go right? And right now, our conversation is going to be, how can we help people start to make things go right today?
No, that was just absolutely spot on. There's many ways I discuss this very topic. Oh, one of the words I use a lot, and I use it in my book, it's preemptive. You have to start having a mentality of being preemptive, okay? And you hit it on the nose. When you're 20 and 30 years old, I describe it in my book, actually. We can go out and just really be careless, right? And you wake up the next morning, boom, couple cups of coffee, you're right back at it, no big deal, right? So, those are the years, and I've trained I've trained pro athletes, I've trained a lot of college athletes, high performance, right? Now I train some people that are late 20s, 30s that work with me. And I tell them, your best bet is to learn how to do this stuff right at a young age and never stop. Habit formation starts out of repetition. And once you get into that repetitive mode, you start feeling good and it's just normal, right? It's people that get out of that repetitive mode. And you are absolutely right. Our toxic food, our processed food world, you're always under attack because it's easy, it's quick. We're always in a rush, right? So I have a big section in my book called Our Toxic World. It's actually section 1 and 2 in the opening of my book. And when you begin to really understand all that, it's very eye-opening. Okay, so let me just give you a couple things that are typical that sort of lead the masses of people into this narrative when you go see a doctor. The 4 things doctors really focus on: heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure. And if you're a smoker, obviously we know that's bad, right? So those are really the big things they discuss. I mean, there's other ones as well, right? So let me talk to you about some of these numbers, Michael. So if you have high blood pressure, you have about a 20% increased risk of dying early. Okay. If you have type 2 diabetes or heart disease, you have about a 35% increased risk of dying earlier than statistically if you're a male. That's 78 years old. If you're female, it's about almost 80 years old. Okay. If you're a smoker, you have a 50% increased risk of dying young. Now get this. This is what your doctor never asks you. If you're weak, you don't have enough muscle on your body, low strength, your increased chances of dying younger is 250%. If your cardiorespiratory, your lungs, your capacity to move oxygen in and out of your lungs, is in the bottom 25% of society, you have a 400% increased risk of dying younger. But it's never talked about. It's never focused on because those are preemptive issues. So the reason why we're so busy is because when people begin to understand, we build ecosystems around all this stuff. And it's no different than you going to an estate planner or you going to a financial advisor, have a 401k or whatever you have, right? We'll spend a lot of money with those people because we know what it means 20, 30, 40 years down the road, right? I'm the guy that is the expert on managing your lifespan here today and 20, 30, 40 years down the road. So people are starting to get turned on to that. Like you said it perfectly. It was a fantastic monologue you had. You work all your life. You're 65, you retire, and all of a sudden, and I know a lot of people like this, you can barely walk up a set of stairs. You're 60, 70 pounds overweight. You have heart issues. Your joints hurt. You have what is called sarcopenia. It's a medical disease where it's rapid muscle loss in the human body. So we have to think about the 3 major longevity markers. This is key. Here they are. Muscle mass is one of the most critical markers of longevity. Heart strength is number 2. Metabolic health is number 3. Those 3 things decay rapidly by the time we're 45 or 50 years old. So what is your strategy to press back on those 3 things? How do you know what is the best practice for that? And this is akin to an attorney that plans your estate or a money manager that really knows their business and could take your $500 a month or $1,000 a month that you're going to put in for 20 years and they multiply that for you. So more and more people are starting to understand that health and fitness and training, working out, it is a very complex science. And I can attest to it. I've been with PhD guys my whole life that write protocols for U.S. Olympic teams. And I'm not your average trainer with the background that I have. So I'm able to move the needle for people. And most of my clients I work with right now are between 40 and 75 years old. Those are the years, if you break down your life in decades, those are the years that are radically important that you start paying attention to this stuff. If you do, you will add 10 years, 12 years to your life. And I always ask the question, it's a loaded question I ask all the time. If I'm speaking in front of an audience, I got 3 questions for you. Would you rather live to your 90 years old, but the last 20 years of that 90 years old is sick and weak? Or would you choose to live to your 75 years old and you live healthy and strong? In your third pick, would you rather live to 90 years old and be healthy and strong and active? And obviously, everyone's going to pick that third choice. And I'm telling people, you can have that. You can live I train people now that are in their 80s that are so vibrant and fit. I have a woman that is 85 years old. She's been with me for 3 years now. And because of all the kinesiology and the systems that we run with our clients, she's lost probably 50 pounds in the last 2 years. She lost it the right way. And her knees and lower back were so beat up, she could barely sit down without her back or knees hurting or steps, going upstairs. Through our training and through our biomechanics, we teach people how to do this stuff the right way. She's running the Boston Marathon next year at 86 years old. You think of that outcome, right? And that's not an average outcome. I'll just say that to listeners, right? But it is an example of how you can take a body that's beat up, not having the right nutritional basis, not having the right fitness protocols, and the body is starving for the right signals. The body is magic. It's a godly machine, right? And there's a million examples of why it's a godly machine. If you feed it improper food, if you don't have enough fitness in your life, you're sending your body signals of decay. If you flip the switch and you know what signals to send your body, the triggers that it wants, and we go over all this in the ecosystems that I build for people, your body is thanking you, and it starts to live in an anabolic state, which means growth. Otherwise, if you're feeding it the wrong signals through the right resistance training protocol, all that stuff, you're living in a catabolic state. You just decay over time. And all of a sudden, it hits you, you're 66 or 70, and man, life just is not fun anymore. You've lost your edge on everything. So you have a choice to make. We all have a choice. You can either learn it and really understand what it means to not just you. When I talk to people about this all the time, it's not just you becoming stronger, losing some fat weight, getting more mobile in your movements, right? It's your spouse, it's your kids, it may be your grandkids that are going to benefit from that. So even though I tell people, I want you to be selfish 3 hours a week, and I want you to get a fitness routine down. Be selfish. But I want you to have a bigger view. That selfishness is going to ripple into everybody around you, especially, of course, your family. You're going to be there much sharper for them over a longer period of time. And that's the bottom line for all of us. I've got 2 boys, and I just have the greatest relationship with them. They're in their mid-20s now. I'm 61. My wife is 63. I still fight my jujitsu. My wife is amazing. She's, 5'6", 125 pounds. She doesn't really understand how good of shape she's in, and her girlfriends are like, I'm not going to the beach with you. She's in incredible shape. So at our age, it's actually starting to work a lot more for us being me 60. I just turned 61 2 days ago. People look at us and they're like, how do you guys do it? And to us, we live a lifestyle that we preach to hundreds and hundreds of people that we work with. So we're a great example of it. And to me, that's really the biggest part of being authentic. Do you do what you preach? And we do it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the big thing there is the lifestyle aspect, because I know many people either give themselves this idea of the lifestyle that they want, but they never get to it. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next year. Think of New Year's resolutions. Okay, I'm going to go to the gym. They go get their gym membership and they start, but they don't finish. We think of a lifestyle where they say, sit down with their partner and say, okay, we're going to eat better. We're going to eat our broccoli and our chicken and our rice. We're not going to eat any processed foods. And before you know it, 2-3 weeks later, it's like that whole plan went out the window. And when it comes to sticking to something, whether it be the 3 hours a week, whether it be focusing on training for muscle mass, cardio, for strong heart health, how would someone stay motivated or get the momentum that is going to not only be there from the beginning or in the beginning, but also when they're in their 60s or in their 70s or even in their 80s?
It's a great question because the mindset and the expectation that somebody has is a big part of this. So typically people either get sick and tired of not being fit. They'll see a picture of them at last year's Christmas party and they go, oh my goodness. It could be a simple motivation like a photograph. Um, they may have an incident where they have a heart murmur or maybe a slight heart attack. It just happened to my pastor. And he's 70 now, ex-Penn State football player, and he's let his health go. So he and I met the other day, and he's like, dude, I got to get serious about this. And I'm going to bring up something right now that is really critical. So we often look at the human body and we see fat on our stomach, wherever you're looking, right? A woman, maybe her thighs and her glutes and all that stuff. So that's visual. We see that. And we base a lot of our opinions on if somebody's in shape or not by the way they look. And to an extent, that's true. If you're a little bit overweight or on the obese side, that's not a good thing. We have to get that under control. But here's the real problem with unseen fat. And that's internal fat, visceral fat around the heart, the kidneys, the liver. That's the real killer. So there's ways to start to diminish that through the proper protocols. And we'll talk about my fitness quadrant. It's a trademark system a little bit. I think people would really like to hear that system that we have. But visceral fat, internal fat is the real problem. So we have to understand that just being ripped and lean, you see all the pictures of everybody all muscular and all that stuff. Some of those people can still have real bad visceral fat. So it's not always what we see. That's what gets glorified. And of course, all of us want to look and feel good, right? But it's the unforeseen. I call them the invisible assassins in my book, right? And I'll give you 4 of them right now, dietary, which are literally killing America, all right? So here they are, seed oils, canola oil, vegetable oil, cottonseed oil. They're industrial lubricants. That's what they were made for in the 40s and 50s. They cook them with chemicals now because it's 10 times more profitable to sell them as cooking oils. Big time problem. It's in everything. I call them the 4 dark horsemen. Seed oils is number 1. And I teach people this, and then I also go into it extensively in my book so people are educated. The second one is sugar. And I'm talking about fake sugars. There's over 60 types of fake chemical sugars now, sweeteners. Absolutely brutal on the human body, all right? You combine fake sugars with trans fats, shelf extenders, you're talking a whole nother level of sickness. The 4th one is food dyes. We're hearing a little bit of buzz now on yellow dye and red dye, and like him or hate him, RFK Jr., he's really trying to work to get the system changed. They're all cheap fillers. They make Wall Street and big companies billions and billions of dollars. So that's the first thing I make people aware of, the toxic food supply. Once you understand that, and I go, again, extensively in my book, I talk all about that, how to identify it and what you need to get out of your cupboards. How do you decipher what's healthy or not? We have things like you're talking about, again, a great opening monologue, Kind bars or Cliff bars. They show the guy hiking on the label and Kind bars, what a name, right? Let me tell you something. Kind bars are not so kind when you read the ingredient list. You're talking about fake sugars that spike our insulin. Insulin resistance, where everybody talks about, what's insulin resistance and what does it mean? It's these roller coaster spikes from fake sugars that we have. Hunger cravings. Your insulin level spikes to eat up the sugar, and then it dives it down low. You get tired. Then it spikes again. This is where fat storage is at its prime. So we don't want blood sugar levels spiking up and down like that. Again, I talk about it in my book. I teach all my clients what that really means. I've had clients, a particular woman that worked in the White House for 4 years. Stressful job, at her desk, on planes, different countries, all this stuff. She ballooned to over 300 pounds. It became chronic. So between The resistance training I did with her through changing her dietary habits, her understanding what whole proteins are, what good carbohydrates are compared to bad carbs, what good fats are, right? She lost 140 pounds in 3 years. She looks like a different person. And more importantly, she gained about 12 pounds of muscle. Muscle is magic. And the more people understand, it's one of the most important tissues on our body. Without muscle, we really fall apart. Okay. So resistance training is the road to stimulate muscle growth. It's really important. Most people will reach for cardio. They'll go to Planet Fitness or whatever, they get on the treadmill. I'm working out, And it's not that that's bad, but let me give you a little science here, okay? It's easy. You press a button. I'm going to walk for 20 or 30 minutes, whatever you do, right? Some people go for an hour. In their mind, they just worked out. And this is where the knowledge level comes into play. When you reach for cardiovascular, right, as your sole or your primary workout protocol, that's great for the heart and lungs. But here's what's happening. We go into a mode, the human body. It's a little bit of a goofy name. It's called gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis. And what that really means is during our cardio bout, right, our body's hunting for energy. It's hunting for glycogen to burn while we're doing our cardio. So once we run out of glycogen out of the muscle, our body starts to target nutrient-dense tissue in the body. Guess what that would be? It would be muscle. It breaks the muscle down, and it pulls amino acids through the liver, and it turns it into glycogen. So even though somebody has good intentions, they're doing cardio and they're working out, they're actually losing muscle off their body, right? Cardio is important. That's one of my fitness quadrant modes, okay? But I feel bad for people because of lack of knowledge, and they wonder what's happening to me? I'm losing weight, but you're losing muscle weight with a little bit of fat and a little bit of water weight. We don't want to lose muscle. It is one of the key markers. So here are the 4 quadrants, Michael. Okay, this is a trademark system that I have. The 4 quadrants are this: resistance training, critical. That's the top left quadrant. The top right one is nutrition. We have to get our nutrition right. The bottom left is cardiovascular. We have to have a strong heart and lungs. The bottom right is rest and recovery. We have to have that recovery mode in our training, right? So those 4 quadrants, each one of them have drop-down lists. Very scientific. They all fit together. So if you're going to pursue a meaningful lifestyle of really moving the needle for yourself to really become fit and strong and healthy, it's a combination game. You just can't eat well. That's not going to put muscle on your body. Or you can't just do cardiovascular. It's a synergistic system. Those are the 4 big pieces of my trademark system that people love because I simplify it for them. And once they understand it, I write the protocol, I create the entire ecosystem for them. And for me to sit back and have somebody actually follow that, maybe it's 2 resistance training bouts a week, and it's 3 meals a day for the right quadrant. In the bottom left, it's 2 cardio bouts a week. We would call that a 2-3-2 fitness quadrant system. That's kind of an average system that is an adequate amount for the average person to start dropping fat, gaining a little bit of muscle, and we have mobility stuff we do in there as well. But they turn around, it takes about 8 to 12 weeks where it really starts to grab hold. And that's when they know, wow, I finally hit what I call fitness momentum, where they start to really get the noticeable changes. And that's when all their friends go, what are you doing? Your face looks different. You're this, you're that. I can't tell you how satisfying that is for me to have people live through that. And again, so passionate about really helping people. I always tell everyone, we're all connected. I'm working with people in Singapore, Chicago, LA, and a lot of people in my hometown where I live. But my mindset is if you can get people to be healthier and stronger, and they can pass it on to their spouse, their kids, in my mind, that's a pathway to have just a better world. You have sharper people that want to make better decisions. They're stronger. They're more able to give to society and be that participant at work, or maybe it's your kid's baseball game. You're a coach. It doesn't matter. It's how I started. It's the roots of all your success. It really, really, truly is. And I'm trying to get the message out there. And I just love the fact that I can be on a show like yours and on other shows, and it's just great people listening and starting to understand, wow, there's a lot more to this than just going to the gym on a treadmill. And there really, really is.
Are these or is this fitness quadrant, and then also the aspect of tying that into everything that you're going to give them, the ecosystem in the book, The Goat Within?
It is. I do go through it, and it really kind of explains the components, why they're important. It's a centerpiece for what I do. That's my story, what I've done over the last 32 years. I'm inviting people into my story, right? I want my stuff to become part of their storyline so their journey can be easier. They don't have to try to figure this stuff out. It's really complex. Your efficiency rates go through the roof. You don't have to think about it. We design the whole system for people. But it is in the book. The book is unique because it's not all about fitness. The first 90 pages are about our toxic world and how people slip into these zones where they just can't get out of it, right? And then I go into how healthy people really use the fitness quadrant to start to design a lifestyle. And I get down and dirty with them. I give them these are my choices for food. This is my workout. So people feel, I think that's one of the reasons the book is doing well, because I'm not an author, right? That was a big check.
You are an author now.
I am now, right? But I'm authentic in the book because I'm not trying to be fancy. I wrote that thing. It took me almost 20 months to write it. Got out of my comfort zone, just like what I'm asking people to do for their fitness, right? I had to get out of my comfort zone. Writing a book's not easy. So I put together something that is unique. People are really liking it. I tell people, of course, I'm biased, right? It's the best $18 you'll ever spend. It's on Amazon. It's booming. And I just love the fact that people are hearing about it. They're starting to get into the book. And it's not all about, do 3 sets and rest. I talk a little bit about that, but it's an atypical fitness book because I'm looking at it from a very big perspective, and I'm trying to get people involved in a storyline so they can really start to understand the important pieces here. And if I can help people, that is my mission, man.
I think one of the best aspects of the book that might have been one of the underlying parts of our conversation would be the longevity aspect of it. Because when someone thinks about fitness or eating well, they think about a short span of time. They say, okay, I'm going to eat well for a year, 2 years, whatever it be. They get the results, and then they kind of just say, okay, I got where I wanted to go. Like I got my goal. And then they just kind of, downhill again. So it's like, it's a lifestyle more than just a goal, like you give yourself for a period of time. Like this is something that you have to look at it for decades, not just a year or 2 years. It's like, yes, you can get to where you want to be in a short period of time compared to your whole life. But your whole life, as you were saying on in the beginning, like, do you want like a good life that you can live fully all the way until 95? Or do you want to struggle the last 20 years? And most people, as you would say, would pick, they want to have a strong, happy, healthy life. But they're not doing the things that are going to help them long term, the longevity aspect. They will do the short burst, they'll do the sprints, they'll do the HIIT workouts. But then when it comes to push come to shove, time, I'm so busy, work is too much. Oh, I want to go travel. The kids, the grandkids, there's so many obstacles that people are going to be facing, but you have to be bigger than those obstacles. And I think of your book title, The GOAT. And when I think of the GOAT, I think of basketball. I like football too, like Tom Brady, but like I think of like Kobe Bryant, I think of Michael Jordan. But when I truly think of the GOAT, I think of Kobe Bryant more than Michael Jordan, even though I think Michael Jordan is better. But Kobe, what he did in his training regimen was beyond anyone else in the NBA. He outworked everybody. And you have to ask, like, where did he get this mentality? And it was not just, I want to be the best today. I want to be the best when I'm in the league. Like he wanted to be the best person he could be for as long as he could live. And so that's how he lived his life. It wasn't like, all right, I'm in shape, and then now I'm retired from the NBA, and now I declined. How many people are in the NBA, they retire, you could just see them decline. Like they just stop. But for him, like when he had retired, he was still keeping up that same regimen. He was still going to keep it up for his whole life. Like it didn't tragically end. So it's like he had an ambition for the long haul. We have the ambition for as long as we can see, or as long as we can stay focused. We have those TikTok brains, right? People have those TikTok brains. They can only stay focused for so long. And so when we start to look at this mission, because it is a mission, this is more than just a goal that someone has to live. Of course, the book is going to be a great resource. You're going to be a great resource for people. But if someone is at the beginning of their journey, what is
Great question. The Mamba mentality. I'm a huge basketball guy, and you're so right. Kobe is, and Michael, and I mean, these guys are top level, legendary pro athletes, and their expectations of themselves are an anomaly. They expect better and better and better. The destination is never reached with guys like that, right? So most of us have varying levels of that. I tell people you have to have enough. I use the word adequate in my book. So you have to have an adequate mentality that I know you're not going to go into the Olympics next month, so we don't have to train at that level. But we have to do some baseline things that the payoff is going to be extraordinary for you, right? So the two worst things that people ask me, right? Or the two goals, like you're talking about, Michael. This happens a lot. It's December now. Tim, I got your name from so-and-so. She's lost. Oh my, I have a wedding in 6 weeks. I need to lose 20 pounds. That's number one. And number two, it's New Year's resolution. I got to do something. Those are not good goals to have. You're going to slide right into exactly what you're saying, Michael. You're going to try to do something for the quick fix. So the difference between having a sustainable journey with healthy and strong is the word lifestyle. You used it. You have to have the mentality of, look, if this stuff is really good for me, why would I want to do it for a little while and give it up? Let's use the word prioritize, and let's use the word lifestyle. Again, my wife and I and my two boys, we literally live it. We don't even think about it. It's as normal for us to, drive the car. I buy a lot of my food at farms and all that stuff. I don't think about that. That's what I do. It's normal for me to go to a gym or at my house. I also do, I design little home workout gyms for people for $500 or less. And then we show them how to train. We give them videos and all that sort of stuff, right? But it's normal for us because we're in that lifestyle. I can't imagine not sticking with what I do with my nutrition, my cardiovascular work, my resistance training. It's become so normal to us. If I do take a break, if I'm traveling abroad or whatever, I'm cool with that. I can take a week off because I'm on the road, I'm doing my stuff. I've earned that. But here's what happens. After about 7 or 8 days, because I'm not near a gym or I'm traveling, I start to get finicky. I'm like, man, I need a workout because I'm starting to feel, so that's because I have a lifestyle mentality. And I know during the year, 52 weeks out of the year, I'm not going to be able to keep my training up for 52 weeks of the year, but I will for 46 weeks, right? I'll prioritize it enough, work it into my schedule. I urge people to start to think about that. Now, you start thinking about the time commitment. I write about all these things we're talking about are all in my book. You're talking about 2% of your time every week, 3% of your time. You wouldn't spend 2 or 3 hours a week to add 10 years to your life, to feel great, to have more energy, to look better. How about this one for the women listening? How about a new wardrobe? How about that for a goal, right? You can just get rid of all your clothes because you came down 3 or 4 dress sizes and, you're less fat, you're more muscle. unbelievable stuff to think about, but drive it as a lifestyle. And that's the mentality that I urge people to have. Be preemptive, prioritize, and think about it as a lifestyle. And little do you know, you become an example for so many people around you. And that's the ripple effect that you can have. I picked the name of the book, The Goat Within, thought a lot about the name. I didn't want a normal fitnessy name. I was like, man, the stuff I do is really specialized. And I've watered it down so it's simple to people. And I'm like, there's so much potential in our bodies. But all that potential gets covered up with poor lifestyle habits, with toxic food, right? And I'm thinking, man, Tom Brady, the GOAT. I'm like, how about the GOAT within us? All of us have it. We just need to know how to open those doors. And it's not that hard if you have the right coaching, the right knowledge base. You have that, man. I'm telling you, you're on the launching pad. Again, I can't tell you how many people I've worked with, hundreds of, it's probably over 1,000 now, that have really changed. I honestly feel like that's why God put me on the earth. I really, really do. That's how driven I am to really help people do this stuff right.
Beautifully said. I agree with everything you said. And it's so important for people to get a hold of this today, not just when there's a wedding or not just when there's a new year, but today for the rest of your life. And I'm definitely going to be looking at this book too, because it seems like there's just so much wisdom and there's so many golden nuggets in this book that even I can add to my toolbox. And even though I've been doing this for so long, I am a huge proponent of learning new things or learning from other people. And I'm not afraid to say, hey, I don't know everything. And I don't want to know everything because I always want to be that forever student. I want to learn from people. I want to have that community. Just as you go see farmers, I want to see farmers as well, right? Like we have that disconnection in our world today where people don't even realize that when they go to the grocery store and they buy those apples, that someone grew those apples. Like people just have this disconnect of, I bought these apples, they're mine. You never grew them. Like you wouldn't even know where to begin. So there's just so much happening in the world. Remind us, where can people?
So the book's on Amazon. Just, obviously type in The Goat Within by Timothy Ward. It'll come right up. You can get it there. That's where I think where most people are buying it. It's on Barnes & Noble. It's everywhere now in about 60 countries right now. So it's really spreading out right now. More distributors have picked it up, but Amazon is probably the primary way to get it for people. My website is a load of information in it. It's www.lifestrong.net. We're continually adding to it. There's a lot of info on there. You'll see the book echoed in there a little bit. We've got some freebies on there, some videos and all that stuff. Most of our work we do is with private clients or couples. A lot of couples are starting to train with us. If you're overseas or in a different state, I shoot custom videos for people on the training. When you dig into it, Michael, like you said, the nuggets in the book, I'm telling you, it is packed with information. You're going to see things in there that most people have never heard of about how our training system works in very specific patterns, in very specific exercise choices. You're going to see things in there called like GTOs. Those are called Golgi tendon organs. And those are protective mechanisms in our joints. And when we're lifting incorrectly with the wrong biomechanics, those Golgi tendon organs fire and it cuts down our muscles from firing. So a big part of what we do is teaching people the right biomechanics, A, so they don't get hurt, right? We're experts at kinesiology this way. And B, so they can fire more muscle fiber during their exercise, that they actually grow muscle faster and metabolize fat faster. There's dozens of things in the book like that. Under GTOs, people will see the table of contents and they're like, whoa, there's a lot in here. So we talk about weight selection. We talk about type 1, type 2 muscle fiber in a way people can understand it. How does it work? How does it fire? A sprinter is a lot different than a marathon runner. So muscle is incredibly complex. I break it down so people can start to understand, okay, that's why I want to pick a weight that I can really only do about 12 reps, as opposed to picking a weight I can do 30 reps. You're not going to get any muscle growth out of that. You have to have enough stress on the muscle. But when you have enough stress on the muscle, your biomechanics have to be correct so you don't get injuries. I've written literally tens of thousands of workouts We have never had an injury, a blown back, a blown knee, a sore shoulder. We actually design our kinesiology and our biomechanics, and we teach it to everybody, ways to do the movements properly, and we go into it so people really learn it. Your knee joints, your lower back, your shoulders are going to get strengthened. We're going to add, it's called adaptive remodeling of bone and of connective tissue. So there's all this stuff I have in there. I saved a lot of the sciencey stuff, the geeky stuff to the end, because I didn't want people to get, have that dazed look on their face if it was in front of the book. So I saved it at the end. And surprisingly, a lot of people are commenting, they're going into it saying, I never knew I was a pro. I never realized that. So it's really cool stuff. Again, it is over 300 pages. It's loaded with information. And the cool thing is I have a case study of one of my clients in there. People can sort of read through. I spread it out through 5 different sections in the book. So it's a story within the story. Very cool. That's an authentic story. I have QR codes in the book, I think 3 or 4 of them, where people can read the snap it and watch a video of what I'm talking about. My publisher was like, wow, that is cool. I've never seen that. So my wife, I'm really proud of her. She's 63. And my publisher, I sent over a couple videos. She goes, is that your wife? I said, yeah, that it was her, She said, my goodness, she's 63? I said, yeah. She said, you need to have her in your book. I said, you know what? I probably should. So she actually is on one page in the front of the book. And I have a little QR code. It's like 2 minutes her talking, and it shows her working out. And I'm getting a lot of comments from people going, there's no way she's 63. They're watching her do some exercises. And I'm saying, she's 63. So it's a cool thing. I try to be as authentic as I am talking to you, not flashy, not staged. This is the real deal. I think that's obviously why I've done really well working with people. Business advisors for years are, you got to write a book. You got to write a book. And I finally said, okay, I'll write a book, not knowing how tough it was going to be. Now it's out there, and I'm starting to get some pretty good feedback, and it feels great. It really does.
And we're excited to look at that book, to embark on the journey of a long, healthy life rather than just a long life filled with suffering that most people are progressing to.
Yeah.
So if we can stop that train for most people and say, hey, hop off that train, hop on this train, it's going to be so much better. And I'm talking about we have refreshments on this train. It's not just one of those rundown trains where you sit on these hard seats. I mean, this is luxury.
This is nice and cozy.
It's going to be nice and cozy. And I want that for your life. I want people to be able to run with their grandkids or great grandkids and not just sit there like, oh, I wish I was a little bit younger. I wish I didn't have all these back pains or problems.
Absolutely.
Like all of this is, preventable. And it just starts with you saying, today, I'm going to make sure I show up for the rest of my life, not just for a moment in my life. Like I said, not just for the wedding, not just for the new year, for the entirety of who you are. And I do want to thank you, Timothy, for coming on, spending some time talking about your book, writing your book, and then also being that coach for people to create the ecosystem that's going to help them live the life that is going to be something they might have never even thought was possible before.
That's exactly right. It is preventable, and it's all knowledge. So, fitness has been so watered down over the years. Oh, for $10, come into Planet and just, huh? Right. So, when people start to understand that knowledge is the barrier, especially in fitness and wellness, it's the barrier that holds people back. Right. It's one of the barriers. So we're accessible. People can email me through the website if they have a question. I'm really accessible because I love just pointing people in the right direction. They don't have to work with us, but I will provide them information. If they want to work with us, they're going to get the best of the best. We're going to make their journey really, really fun for them. And they're finally not going to have to wonder how to do this stuff right. And again, that's my goal. And I'm so thankful to be able to share it with people.
All right. And just again, all the links are right down below. So check out his book. Check out his website so you can learn more about what he's doing, stay connected, and begin that work. It might be, like in the beginning, it could be pretty tough. It could be daunting. I understand that people can be afraid to take that step. But once you do and you keep becoming deliberate in your personal development, it just becomes natural, where to the point of when you stop, you're going to say, wait, what's this? let me get back on the train. So I do want to thank you, Timothy, for coming on, spending some time, and of course, talking about your work in your book today.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I'd like to stay connected with you, and hopefully your listeners really can have some extraction out of some of the things we said, and we can really help someone. So, amen. Thanks so much.